Thank you, everybody, for coming to the Aaron Torres Podcast YouTube page. I do have one quick favor before we get to the video that you came here for, and that is very simply this. You see that little red subscribe button below this video? Go ahead, smash that subscribe button. It really does help me. It really does help this channel grow and my audience grow. So go ahead and hit that red subscribe button. And now, here is the video that you came here for. Next question, Mike DMs. He says, AT, big Hogs fan here, one of our writers locally. Jackson Collier wrote an article about whether it's Final Four or bust for Arkansas this year. Where do you stand on Final Four or bust for Arkansas basketball? All right, so it's really funny because Jackson Collier is actually a really good friend of mine. We talk regularly, and when Mike sent in this question, I actually shot Jackson a text. I said, just so you know, we're going to be talking about this on the Aaron Torres Sports Podcast. I love this as a topic. And when I look at this topic, a couple things stand out. First of all, I think everybody kind of understands Arkansas right now is in the middle of a basketball renaissance that we have not seen at Arkansas in 25 years. We've talked about it a ton. Eric Musselman has absolutely cleaned up at that school in a way that I've known Coach Muss dating back to the Nevada days, but I could have never imagined him having the success that he has had so far. 3 seasons. First season, the NCAA tournament is canceled by COVID. They were trending as a potential tournament team. Year 2 goes to an Elite 8. Year 3 goes to an Elite 8. And I think in both years, you could legitimately argue that, 1, the team absolutely overachieved, but then 2, you lose in the Elite 8 to maybe the best team in the tournament. 2021, you certainly lost to the best team in the tournament, Baylor. 2022, I think there's an argument to be made that Duke was actually the best team in the tournament, even though they didn't win the national championship. They're going to have 4, maybe 5 first-round picks this year. They are going to have the potential number 1 pick in Paolo Banchero. And that was a really, really good team, even if they didn't win the national championship. And so now Arkansas fans are looking ahead to 2022, 2023 with all the excitement, with all of the talent coming in and saying, is it Final Four or bust for the Hogs? And so what I would say to that question is that, in my opinion, this is the classic example of what I say all the time on this show. 2 things in life can't be true. 1, it's great to have not only is it great to have high expectations for your team, but have a team that can actually match those high expectations. But what I would also say is, I just don't think saying it's Final Four or bust, national championship or bust is a fun way to live your life as a fan. And to even backtrack, I think everybody knows because I've talked about it enough, but Arkansas is going to be really good next year. And so that's where these expectations come from. It's not just because of the fact that Arkansas has gone to back-to-back Elite Eights. It's because they have a really good team on paper going into 2022, 2023. I've talked about it a million times, but 3 McDonald's All-Americans, Anthony Black, Nick Smith Jr., Jordan Walsh, all 3 are projected to be first-round NBA draft picks next year. Nick Smith Jr. is in the running for the potential number 1 pick in the 2023 NBA draft. Beyond that, and a lot of Arkansas fans give me flack every time I talk about this recruiting class, it's not only just those 3. They have, check this out, 6 players overall ranked in the top 100. Barry Dunning, Joseph Pinion, and Darian Ford joining those 3 guys. And then on top of having the number 2 recruiting class in the country with 6 top 100 players, 3 McDonald's All-Americans, 3 potential first-round draft picks, they also have, I would say right now, pretty much unquestionably the best transfer portal recruiting haul. 5 total players. Ricky Council from Wichita State, Jalen Graham, and All Pac-12 Ford from Arizona State, Trevon Brazile from Missouri, and the Mitchell twins from Rhode Island. All 13 scholarships are currently filled. Right now, it seems as though Jalen Williams is not coming back. But even without Jalen Williams, I think this is probably the deepest, most athletic, and I would say most talented team across the board in college basketball next year. It's not just the 3 freshmen. There's 2 or 3 other guys that have long-term NBA potential. Ricky Council is a kid from Wichita State that I have been told by NBA scouts is a guy they could see playing in the league. Trevon Brazile probably won't get there next year, but is a guy that they could see playing in the league. So you're talking about a team with all of that talent, with all of that skill, and with not only the freshman class, but some of the transfers with really high-level NBA upside as well. With that said, though, I also don't like the idea of Final Four or bust, national championship or bust for one simple reason. It's because it kind of sort of ruins the season, doesn't it? And I do think this is one thing that I think we all inherently know, but I think sometimes we kind of forget and we get caught up and we're talking about stuff in May that's going to happen in November and December. But when you say Final Four or bust, it takes away from the season itself, and it kind of says, not only do we have to get to the NCAA tournament, not only do we have to get to the Sweet 16, not only do we have to make a third straight Elite Eight, which is not easy, we got to win one game more for the season to be considered a success. And I just, as a fan, don't want to live my life like that. First of all, part of being a fan, and again, I think this is the part that fans inherently know, part of being a fan is to enjoy the process and enjoy the journey along the way. It's not always just the destination. It is the process to get there, right? Think about being a North Carolina fan over the course of this past college basketball season. Disappointing start, disappointing middle. You're wondering, is Hubert Davis the future? You're wondering about all these high-caliber players that aren't delivering. And then all of a sudden a light flips. And then all of a sudden you're kind of good. And then all of a sudden you're beating Duke at Cameron Indoor to ruin Coach K's last regular season game, thinking that's as good as it's going to get. Then you get to the NCAA tournament and beat the defending champ. Then you beat UCLA. Then you're in a Final Four. Then you beat Duke again and you're playing for a national title. How fun was that for a North Carolina fan, even if you didn't win the championship? Heck, how fun was it for an Arkansas fan? Start 0-3 in SEC play in this previous season. I had Arkansas fans in my Twitter mentions. They don't want to mention it now. Already saying it's time to focus on baseball season. Let's move on. We don't want to talk about basketball anymore. Start the season 10-5. You finish the season, I think it was 29-8 overall. So you're talking about whatever it is, 18-3, 19-3, 19-4 over the final 2.5 months of the season. Even though you don't win the championship, that was a really, really, really fun season. Same in college football. Tennessee fans didn't win a national championship last year, but they were good. They were relevant. They enjoyed the journey. Kentucky fans, another great season, enjoyed the journey. And so when you talk about Final Four or bust, you're not enjoying the journey. You're just focused on the destination. You're not focused on everything that it takes and all the fun steps to get there. And so I wouldn't want that if I was an Arkansas fan. I wouldn't want that pressure. And to take it a step further, you know what that kind of sounds like to me? That kind of sounds like you're not really enjoying winning. Now, maybe you're an Alabama football fan and you're just used to 10 years of we expect to win, and when we win by anything less than 50, we're miserable. But to me, that just doesn't sound very fun. So that's my take on that. I went a little bit longer than I was anticipating. But when you talk about Final Four or bust, that puts a lot of expectations on a team. And the other thing too, really quick, and I know I'm going long on this one, but you just don't know what's going to happen over the course of a year. Could be ebbs and flows, could be peaks and valleys, could be injuries, could have some guys, whatever. All I'm saying is I don't want to keep going on this, but when I look at this exact situation, I just say, Arkansas fans, it's okay to be excited. It's okay to dream big. It's okay even to book those hotel rooms for Houston next year's Final Four. But even if you have visions of a Final Four, don't undersell the process, don't undersell the journey, and appreciate the team day in and day out, because we all know this as sports fans. I know this as a UConn fan. Nothing is guaranteed. Doesn't matter how good you were last year. Doesn't matter how good you are next year. This stuff changes quick, and enjoy the process.